All right, let's make something. Recently got a thicknesser. I have my crusty dusty radial arm saw, and I had run a bunch of these pieces of wood through my thicknesser, so they're all the same thickness. I mean, it's still a little warped, but yeah, don't care. I want to build something. Need to build something. So, what I was thinking was, we're going to chop off these ugly ends, because this was originally pallet wood, and been out in the weather for some time. So, yeah, first thing to do is get them all cleaned up. So, radial arm saw. Most important thing is keep your fingers away from the blade. Second most important thing is have fun. And there are so many things you can do with these, and so many ways you can get yourself into trouble if you're not careful. So, safety is paramount. So, really quick ways to make things safer is keep them from moving. Just got these new clamps. They are super futuristic and fancy. You just need a squeeze, and now they're locked into place. So I lock the last board into place, and that should hold everything still. So I don't need this anymore. So, fun part about the radial arm saw is there is a fence back here, and the blade spins this way. So what that means is the blade will force everything into the fence. So as long as you have a rigid fence, and this is 3/4 ply, and it's only 2 inches tall, so it's fairly stiff, and it's sandwiched between and pocket hole screwed to my I don't know what this part of it's called, the table, the platform. But yeah, I can do almost full extensions. I never really pull it past this point. I don't know if I can. I can't right now because there is wood in the way. But yeah, so let me plug this guy in. And let's plug him in and see where we're at. So first things first, uncover, plug in, and all right. Put on my respirator, which is an N95 mask because I have a million of them. Because the year is 2024. So this is what they had before compound miter saws. Blade has stopped. So if I pull this all the way out, I can get it to there, which is kind of dangerous. But never pull it that far out, except for right now. So now that I know that's all flush and good, you can take advantage of some of the fun features of the radial arm saw. Is you can take this, use that as a stop block. You can grab an F-clamp, which are back behind my wood, so I can't reach them right now. So, but what you could do is you could stop this here, take all this off, flip it over, and then butt it right up to there, and then you'll have everything lined up again. But, oh, that's so cool. All right, so flip them around. So, why a radial arm saw instead of a sliding compound miter saw? You may ask. Well, a few reasons. One, this is what I could afford. This is bought at a thrift store for, it was $15. I bought this, and it did not work. It used to have like a little fiddly knob thingy here that you would rotate on and off, and the inner mechanism was broken in there, and the thrift store says, yeah, broken saw, $15. So figured out how to turn it on, and then just turned it on and off with a foot switch for a very long time. I still have that foot switch. It's a good foot switch. So that got old the first time I tried ripping with this. And yes, this can rip. You take this, you pull it out. There's some knobs here. Yeah, do some stuff, and this whole blade rotates out this way. And then, with the blade rotated out, you can then fix it at a certain distance and then run your board through, which is pretty cool. All right, so I got this, and now I got these little offcuts. And 3 years ago, I would have said, oh, let me keep these. I'm going to do something great with them. And then I threw out 300 pounds of them at the beginning of this year. And yeah, if I need little bits of wood, I'll cut them custom. All right, so now I got some boards with some nice clean ends. I keep a finishing blade on this. Since it's super stable, it really is fantastic at cutting like glass smooth edges. So, and I really stopped ripping once I got my table saw. Yeah, so it's good the way it is. So anyway, now let's see, what are we going to build with this? Well, let's build something. So let's build some drawers or a little box. So let's see. if I were to build a box, I have these little boards of wood. Let's take a measurement here. Let's go, that's 37 and 3/4 inch. So 37 and 3/4. If I were to cut that in half, that's we'll call that 18.5 inches. 18.5 inches. So 18.5 inches, that will comfortably fit an oversized sheet of paper. So I can make a box to hold paper. At 18.5 inches. Oh, you know what I could build? I'm asking, do you know what I could build? I just want a box. Yeah, let's just build some boxes. Let's make them 8.5 by 11, just because I spend my entire life in an office, and that's all I know. All right, so I'm going to need 2 at 8.5 and 2 at 11. Let's see. So there we go, 8.5. Oh, the edges are super rustic. And by rustic, I mean it's still pallet wood. It still says high HT on the side, which is heat treated. So, oh, well, that's unfortunate. Maybe I should have paid better attention. You know what? Let's make them the same width. So, radial arm saws, pretty cool. Why are they pretty cool? You can do weird stuff with them that you couldn't do with a regular saw. Yep. So you try doing this with a regular saw. All right, now they're all exactly the same size. So let's take these, we'll set them up over here. So if I do them as all butt joints, butt joints, oh, that's kind of inconsistent because it's pallet wood. I keep on forgetting it's pallet wood. So every single face was the outside of the pallet. So they're all canted at different angles. Yep. Everything's doing its own thing. So that's 90 degrees. That's 90 degrees. So, what I could do is run this through my table saw. Well, I could run it through my joiner and then run it through my table saw, and then I'll have 4 perfectly square sides. But that will get rid of these little beautiful heat-treated labels on them. And on the other side, there's this wonderful, oh, look at that patina. All right. So, radial arm saw. All right, here's another cool thing about radial arm saws. So, the radial arm saw has a hat trick. Each time I rotate this, it goes up by 1/8 of an inch. So that's 1/8 of an inch up right now. I don't do this often. All right, so that's another 1/8 of an inch up. Let's see. Oh, yeah. Moving on up. All right. Stay with me, folks. Not sure how well this will work. Oh, that's not so bad. How's the more light treat you? Is more light more better? More better-ish. Okay. So, if I take this, which I intend on taking, and I figure out where the center is, which is right about there, and I raise my blade up to match up with that. I can cut a little dado in the side, or a rabbit. What do they call it when it's on the edge? Is it a rabbit when it's on the edge? All right. Well, this is probably going to turn out horrible. All right. So if I take this board right here, all right. So that's about as good as you get with a table saw. Perfect. Alright. So then just do that 2 more times, 3 more times. Now all these came through a thickness planer, which is why I feel comfortable doing it this way. So, remember, weird things you can do with the radial arm saw that you couldn't do with any other saw. So I take this, and I just make sure that I'm just touching that outer side. These two are the same length. Bingo bango. My table is not perfectly flat. That will become a problem in a moment. All right, nestled up in there. Let's flush up this. So basically, what I'm doing is I'm cutting a groove. Hey, my saw ain't through anymore. Cool. It's a thing. Not yet. All right. I need a thing to thing it. There it is. Glue. So, well, this could be a little interesting. All right, so you should never, ever use compressed air to blow out wood chips because they can go in your eyes. Most importantly, you should never use compressed air to blow out metal chips because it could go in your eyes. All right, so here we go. It is important to oil your tools, the ones that need oil. There's a little cylinder in there and a little thing that goes back and forth. And if it doesn't get fed enough oil, the gremlins will come out and eat your liver. But not in a nice way. Like in an orca way. All right. So, well, I need to take this down one more pass. Lining this up. Here, come over here, I'll show you. No, not that way. All right, here we go. So, that is about one blade thickness compared to that, which is acceptable. And this is just going to be like a little box in the shop, so it doesn't really matter. I'm the only one who's going to be looking at it. I just want to build something. Haven't built anything this year. Just hankering to build something. Yep. Yep. You hear that grumbling? That's my refrigerator. That thing's gonna die soon. Alright. Alright, that's close enough. So, a little bit of glue. Oh. There we go. A little bit of glue. Set a little bit of glue. Glue, glue. Glue, glue. So, a box this little, I could actually just do this and then walk away, and everything will probably be cool. Unless I glue it to the table. So, I'm going to remove it from this table. But if you remove it too soon, it ends up falling apart. So how do we keep it from falling apart? Well, that's simple. You put a nail in it. These things are crazy. I don't think anything came out. Yeah, nothing came out on that one. All right. If you want to make a mess, that's how you make a mess. All right, so there are still nails in here. Just decided not to exit. That nail gun makes me so nervous because I've never worked with a nail gun that didn't have a front pressure safety switch on it. I mean, does it need to? In my book, it does. So, can I? I can. And I have no idea what I'm doing with this. But I have a friend who, when he hears of all the things I do, all the things you do, you should just record it and put it up on the internet. And I said, that's crazy. Nobody's going to care about what I do. And he says that it may help somebody someday. They want to learn how to do a thing. They don't know how to do a thing. And you know how to do a thing. And you show them how to do a thing. And I said, fine. I'll record some videos. And it's kind of fun. Because normally I'm just in my head doing this and making things. So they sell these pain in the neck devices. And the idea with this is you take it and you fit it around, you butt it up against the inner corner, and then you crank down on these things right here. And it's supposed to help keep you true to 90 degrees, and now you're perfectly square. That only works if your wood is parallel on the inside and the outside for the most part. But I ran it through the thickness planer, so they should be. So if I do one corner, that means all the other corners should be set up because everything was cut at the same time from the same thickness and the same length and all that. So now I got this box. Now I need to figure out how to do a bottom. If I am going to do a bottom. Alright, so let's see. So I could cut another rabbet, sink this in, and what does it look like if I have two of them side by side? Well, I'll be darned. That's just perfect, ain't it? Gives me a little gap. The gap is sometimes necessary. So when you got the grain going like this, if you have a little space in between, what that allows is that allows for the wood to expand and contract over time. So yeah, that can be helpful. So how do you measure this? Well, you could take a tape measure like this guy, and you can measure that, and this says it's 8 inches in there, which I'm not surprised. Or you could take the tape measure and stick it inside here, and you measure, and you got 5 inches, but the tape measure is 3 inches long, so that's 8 inches. Or you could take one piece and stick it inside, and take a pencil and scroll along it, and that is 8 inches right there. So, which way is better? I think the last way is better. Why is the last way better? Because the last way always works. Sometimes with tape measures, you might misread it, and the tape measure could be, you could have dropped it and now it doesn't read accurately anymore, or it's just a real cheap tape measure and just doesn't have I should have done? Should have made a box to hold these stupid little pin nails. So if you have a reference and you scroll to that reference, that will always be correct. I feel like such an old fart right now. Alright, so come away with me. So 8 inches. Let's cut it on the table saw. So, table saw. I could take a miter gauge and I can run it along there. But the simplest method to cut on the table saw is using the most complicated tool. This is a sled, and the sled runs along the track. You take the wood, you put it in, and you say, okay, you line up, come here. So, you take this and you say, all right, let's sight down the whole thing so I'm nice and square up. Now you pick which side of the wood you want. This is my waist side, and this is my keep side. So I line up my keep side with the side of the hole, and I'm flapping it like this just to scooch it over just a little bit. All right, so that is lined up with that hole. Now, how did that hole get there? That hole got there by running a saw blade through it. What saw blade? This saw blade. So, I'm not going to cut both these pieces of wood at the same time. I'm going to cut this, and then I'm just going to use that a bunch. But I'm going to use this as reference. So what you want is you want at least, at the very least, the carbide to poke out of the wood, but not too much more. Otherwise, when the blade comes up, it'll tear a lot out. Now, if you take a look at that blade, and you know anything about saw blades, that is the wrong blade to be doing this with. And I'd have much better results if I did it with another blade, any other blade, except for that one. That's a ripping blade. And well, we're here now. All right. So, when you're fixed in a device like this, a sled, and the wood is really sturdy and stable and stabilized, you don't have to worry about the problems you get using a ripping blade on this type of wood, as it's the stability of the whole rig keeps everything lined up nice and neat. I'm back here. Oh, let's see. Can I come back over here? Sweet. Good. All right. So I take this guy, and this guy, and they are not the tightest fit. So how do we overcome that? Well, there's a couple of ways. One, we can not care. And that's the one that I'm inclined to do today, and not care. Especially because these two edges sit proud of these two guys. And I don't know what those things are called. There's actual names for these things. But I don't know them. I'm not that fancy. Alright, so I got that lined up in there. And that's going to be the bottom of a box. Alright, so how to secure that? Well, there's a couple of ways. Probably the most expensive way would be to use pocket holes. So that's the way I'm not going to do it today. So let's take this, get some more wood glue, grab it here. Put a little bit of wood glue. All right. So I'm going to be glued down here at this bottom edge. And I'm going to be glued all the way up to this top edge. And yeah. Oh look, I'm going to use this little guy again. So, how many more of these? There's like 2 nails in there. Good. That's the perfect amount. So, the only purpose for using these things, because they're little piddly things, is to keep this from sliding around. I gotta get 1-inch pin nails. Yeah. So, why pin nails? So pin nails are basically just needles. They don't have any heads on them. It's just a little... Oh yeah, always take off the air hose whenever you're using a nail gun and you're changing out nails. That's that'll save you from a little bit of anguish. So this thing is kind of useless. Because with all the glue in here, and pin nails, this guy ain't going anywhere. So I glued this side, and then this side's just kind of suspending. So I'm going to do the opposite over here. Now, did I need to use all these tools? No. Did I want to make sure all these tools are working in tip-top condition when I do my next project? Yes. My next project, the reason why I'm resawing all this wood is because I want to build a desk. And I got to make sure everything's up to snuff so that when I go to build the desk, I don't have to stop in the middle of the job because this thing or that thing is not doing what this thing or that thing was designed to do, and makes me have to stop. And I don't like have to stop. Not at all. All right, so did I leave too much of a gap over there? Sure I did. Why? Because you didn't edge joint these. Oh, why wouldn't you edge joint these? Because it's a stupid box that you're building just to build a box. What's the purpose of this box, you say? There is no purpose to the box. Oh, then why are you building it? Just to build a box. It's an exercise in stupidity. So, if I had this, that, and that, so well, so if I took this and I cut it in half, and then I took these little bits and I glued them across here, then I have like a little thingy going across there. But that wouldn't be very stable, now would it? And eyeballing it, they just meet. Butt joints are not very strong. End grain to end grain is probably the weakest joint you could have. So that'll just fall apart. I could put a little recess in here and then sink this guy in and then do the same thing over here, and then I'd have just a lot of extra work for having a crappy joint. If only I hadn't thrown out those little pieces of wood. Alright, so I could always go into the scrap bin. All my offcuts from over the years. So I could take this and glue this up right there. That would look kind of cute. Like a little spice rack, so you can put things in there. And it's got like a little thing to keep things from falling out. Yeah. Yeah, see? See, this is why it's important to learn skills like not measuring. Alright, only because I'm using way more tools than I need to. I'll get another tool out and I'll use that. Yeah, that one looks pretty good. Alright, so I got my mark. Man, if only these pointy things were rounded over. So seeing as how all this is pine and nothing's especially big, you really could have done this entire job with this. There's no reason to have all these fancy tools and stuff like And I need sandpaper. So, sandpaper. Yeah, honestly, you really could have done this whole thing with just this board, with just this saw. I'm not going to spend that amount of time building a crappy box with just that saw, unless I wanted to make that box a little nicer. But maybe this will turn out nicely. So the important thing when you're doing this is you want to make sure you don't have any sharp edges. And now I'm taking it down into a nice shape. Sweet. So, there's a thing called the golden ratio. I don't know how that applies. I just wanted to mention it. All right. So, going back to the don't measure anything. Continue not to measure anything. All right. So I got this little apron thingy here. Where's my... I'm always losing my tools in like zero distance. There. That's what I made. I made a box to hold can of WD-40 and Titebond. Ta-da! Oh, under an hour.